Thank you, President Pedersen. I really appreciate that. I'm so inspired by our people, right? I mean, just think about the lessons that Nora and Lisa just talked about, moving from awareness to acceptance. I just think that's so cool. And then, having students articulate firsthand that one place couldn't handle me, but here I fit in. That's really what belonging is about. I just am really motivated by that. And I think as Nicole and Felicia talked about their opportunities as volunteers, they talked about volunteerism cultivating a sense of belonging and pride in the broader district and the broader community, which led to employment opportunities. So I continue to be inspired by the great things that are happening in the district. I want to thank all of the volunteers who are essential to making our everyday business better and more efficient and more joyful, and taking things off of the plate for other employees and members of our team, and also for the joyful experiences that they create for our students. Like many of you, I've had the opportunity over the last couple of weeks to spend time visiting various school events. Last week, I think it was Thursday evening, and spent time at Fort Collins High School, engaged in their community engagement session focused on safety. Had an opportunity to go see their theater production, SpongeBob SquarePants, which was a lot of fun and had a beautiful storyline. I have to be honest with you, I wasn't sure what I was going to get out of that, but it was so great. The students and I really had a chance to now visit every one of the theater productions since I've been here at all of our comprehensive high schools, and continue to be inspired by all the great work. As Nicole and Felicia were talking about their experiences volunteering at Lesher, had an opportunity to visit Lesher Middle School last week. All 55 schools that make up this district are special. There's a lot of incredible things that are happening at Lesher. They are very committed to their athletic program. I met a lot of championship wrestlers. Nate, you talked about your experiences as a parent about that, and not just what it meant to be a good wrestler, but to have good character. Their PE teacher, who's their coach, who's actually retiring at the end of this year, not of teaching, but of coaching, has really left an incredible legacy of developing young people who are high character people who know how to outwork their opponents. As they were talking about their character, they also talked about their stamina and their hard work and their effort and their resilience is what really made them be able to overcome obstacles and not quit in the face of adversity. I had an opportunity to meet 3 of their middle school thespians. I haven't been to a middle school play yet, but that's going to be on my list as we go into the next year. But they had an Annie production. I met with some of their teachers who were committed to moving high-dosage tutoring and PBIS systems in place. And if you remember, way back when, on the very first day of school, Lesher Middle School was a place where I started my day. And I talked in my video to the community that night of a student named Parker, who was his first day of school, not just at Lesher, but in the district. And he came up to me and he said, "Mr. Kingsley, I don't know Lesher very well, but I want you to know, you give me a couple of months and I'm going to tell you all about it." Well, I had a chance to visit Parker last week. And Parker talked to me about the significance of Lesher Middle School being how cooperative it is. The collaboration and the spirit of collaboration runs through the veins of that school community. And he talked about what was overwhelming is there's so many opportunities for students to get connected and engaged in extracurricular clubs. And Parker's doing a great job in the rock climbing club over at Lesher Middle School. So he's a true leader, not just on day one, but as we think about where we are in April, he's doing incredible work in partnership with the school. And I want to thank Principal Kotnick and the leadership team and the various faculty members for doing incredible work over there. I'm a big believer as a superintendent that the persona and the culture of a leader kind of transcends the culture of a school. And I had an opportunity later that same day to visit Bennett Elementary School, and Amy Smythe is not just an incredible instructional leader, but she's just got a joyful spirit about her. And she is the first principal that I've ever met that shares an office with Angie, her assistant principal. They are in one office, they can finish each other's sentences, they're on the same page, and the joyful spirit that they have with each other transcends into all of their classrooms. Had a chance to visit a first grade class, Mrs. Holcomb's classroom, and her students were learning about phonemic awareness. And I asked one of her first grade students, "Can you please tell me what phonemic awareness is?" And this is 6 years old. "And why is it important?" Well, they said, this is about learning how to make words and make sounds. And it's really important because if you don't know this, you're going to get fired someday. So it was a high-stakes environment, but there was a lot of joy at the center of it, and we all laughed, but it was really, really great. And those types of experiences exist in every one of our schools. I was at Irish Elementary School on Friday meeting with Principal Moser and about 4 or 5 instructional leaders, which also included one of their counselors. The culture of care that exudes that building and the wraparound services. Many of their teachers are volunteering on weekends and coaching youth soccer and doing different types of clubs. And as I had an opportunity to just geek out around how they're engaging the community, I can't tell you, there's several of their teachers, and I'm not asking any teacher to do this, but several of their teachers couldn't stop ideating around ways to partner with this district to engage their community in thoughtful ways, and were just emailing me all weekend. And again, I'm not asking any teacher to do that, but just the motivation and the spirit that existed amongst them just to continue to take that school to the next level was quite great. And I'll share one last example of just greatness. I went to Timnath Elementary School yesterday morning, and Jill Burrell is a great leader. And I saw one of the most, I'm a former math teacher, so I'm biased here, but one of the most amazing math lessons that I've seen ever in the history of my career by Mrs. Megna, who is an interventionist working with students who are trying to get to grade level. And her ability, I've seen multisensory instruction through literacy, her ability to use multisensory instruction to help with mathematics and create joy, her level of questioning and orientation to get students to get to that next level and build their confidence and be hopeful, knowing that they were being challenged, was just incredible. That's what this district is about. That's what our district strategic plan that we're going to be talking about tonight is about. And it's really about staying connected to our work and staying connected to each other as people. People and processes lead to performance. If we prioritize people and we prioritize our processes and improving them, performance will continue to improve in this district. And I want to thank all of the people who are part of this system who have been working tirelessly over the past year in developing a strategic plan that is thoughtful, that is purposeful and intentional on taking this district to new levels based upon what our data is telling us. We want to continue to be even more thoughtful about this plan. And members of the board, I want to share with you that we want to be more aligned. And we're also, the charge that we collectively as a leadership team, and I know you share this school of thought as a governance team, it's really better to be simple and go deep than shallow and complex. And so the conversation we'll have a little bit later tonight is how best to do that. What's the right timeline? What's the best strategic priorities to be able to get there? And I'm really grateful for the team's work in setting up not just a great presentation tonight, but I think we're going to have a very fruitful conversation. These conversations and the various priorities, whether it's literacy, mental health and belonging, graduation with options, and school safety, continue to reverberate in all spaces in this system. Last night at Rocky Mountain High School, they had the Mental Health Matters Conference, which I heard was well attended. They had parent workshops. They had a keynote that was inspiring to all of their families and staff members that assigned. And it was a resource fair to allow families to get connected to resources that exist in our community. And it allowed people to be curious around what can we be doing as leaders to connect more people with those resources. We're going to continue to do that throughout the course of the time of our strategic plan and continue to make sure that we're putting a significant dent into that data while also making quality improvements on the academic side of the house. I want to close this evening by talking a little bit about graduation with options. It's one thing to talk about our desire for every student to have options when they accept their high school diploma, whether that's attempting a 2- or 4-year university, going directly into the workforce, enlisting into the armed forces, or taking a 5th year of high school for college credit through our Ascent program. But it's another thing to show you what we mean, and that's what we're here tonight, through the power of student voice and storytelling. With that, I'd like to turn it over to our Chief Information Officer, Madeline Noblet, and Video Production Manager, Matt Gohl, to take you behind the scenes of this year's Grads at a Glance series. Thank you to the entire Communications Department with the support from the Career and Innovation team for showing our entire community what it means to graduate with options. Madeline and Matt, take it away.
All right, thank you, Superintendent Kingsley and everyone here this evening. As Brian said, what we want to do is really be able to show you what it means to graduate with options. We talk a lot as a team here and out in our system about the many, many options that are available to our students, but we've also talked about how our community, including our students and our parents, may not be aware of everything that is there. And so this series centers around that idea of making explicit and has for many years through Matt and the team's leadership, making explicit what the student experience is here leading up to graduation and celebrating really what it is we do here as a system. So I'll be brief. I just want to say how proud I am of the team and Matt and the group aligning to this strategic priority and really bringing it to life. I think I've been amazed at some of the connections that they have been able to make for students with members of our business community, and so we want to be able to bring you along on the series and some of the incredible experiences that they've been able to cultivate. So thank you.
Hey, everybody. So that's what this feels like, huh, up here? For those of you who don't know me, I'm Matt Gohl. I'm the video production manager for the school district. And Phil is behind the scenes tonight running the cameras for the live broadcast. But I told him to take a few minutes off and come up here and join me. So what we're going to do is we just kind of wanted to give you guys a little bit, like Brian said, like a little bit of a behind-the-scenes look of Grads at a Glance and just kind of the why behind it, and then share with you our approach this year and hopefully get you guys a little bit excited about what's been coming out. So just a little bit of history. What you see right here on this PowerPoint is a couple black and white images. One image has text on it that says Grads at a Glance. And this is from back in 2015. This is kind of when we first really started this series as a consistent way to shine a light on our seniors. There's another picture on this slide of a black and white picture of a student hand drawing something. So we went from kind of this like black and white, very artsy. I was a younger man then. I thought I was like this like super artist, right? And then Phil came along, and we started to get stuff like this. And I'm going to let him talk about kind of his why and maybe his kind of favorite part of this series. But I distinctly remember, so Phil joined me in like late February 2018. And we usually start this series right around then. And I told him like, all right, buckle up, because it's busy time. And he's like, he just jumped right in. But I remember we were talking about these students, and this particular year we had a state level swimmer who was going to Stanford from Fossil Ridge High School. And I was like, yeah, like what kind of footage do we get of a swimmer at school? And Phil's like, well, why don't we just go to the pool? And I was like, oh, okay, because remember, this was, and so I'm gonna let him kind of talk about this approach. This is kind of like phase 2 of Grads at a Glance, and then his kind of why.
Yeah, so I came on board and I kind of pushed some buttons, asked some questions about the series and what we could do to evolve it and change it. And like Matt said, I kind of asked let's meet the students where they're at and where they do their thing that they're passionate about. And so that year we met our student who is the Olympic swimmer at the pool, and we didn't know that when you take cold camera gear and you bring it inside a warm pool, it fogs over. So everything looked like this dreamy scape. And so
Which
we
was
learned
intentional for the
very
artist.
intentional. But we learned a lot that year. We learned a lot from the different students, and I think we covered a lot of subjects that we never thought we would be able to cover. And so we had a LGBTQAI plus student, and we had a student that went through depression but came out of it. And so just a great way to elevate our students and tell their stories in a visual form. And so that year we hit the ground running hard, and we captured great stories of all these different students and various different backgrounds. So the next year after that, this one, the laptop year was after COVID. Well, it was like the half year after COVID, and then the next year, the start of the next year. And so we were like, how can we encapsulate what's going on with them with COVID, but then also being out of it. And so what we did was we filmed the students in their home space. They all described, hey, my home space is the art lab. My home space is the music hallway. And we had them on the laptop saying their intro in their home space. So it was kind of this, inception kind of look of, hey, I'm at home working remotely, but I'm also I also love my home space. And so the next year after that, we were like, COVID's over, sweet, let's celebrate. Let's have these kids have a celebration. So we coordinated with these students, their support group, and we actually had surprise parties for them, where we filmed their support people gushing about them. And then we showed them the video, and then they were around the corner with balloons and poppers, and they got to celebrate their graduation. So it's definitely changed throughout the years, as from the black and white, very artsy look to now. And this year we're definitely on the next step of our evolution. So I'm gonna hand it over to Matt.
Sure. Sorry, I'm just going to go back here for a second. So on this slide here, when I switch from the black and white to the next slide, they're very colorful images. One is of a student walking down a trail that's full of beautiful green, and then another is a student who's just smiling in the camera with a kind of maroon dress on. And then the pictures that Phil was just describing, one is of a laptop basically this was in like the dean's office at Pooter High School. Shell knows this place. Then the next one's just a huge group of people surrounding a graduate, and everybody's smiling, and there's balloons and confetti. So that's what's been going on the slides. This next slide here says Grads at a Glance, Future Connections, and it has these 2 chairs in it. Is this mysterious? Is this artsy? So basically, as we were talking about the idea for this year, it's like one of the things that we felt like we missed last year with the celebration was like, what are these students doing next year? Everybody wants to know, what are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? $1 million question, right? And so we're like, well, let's take that, but let's put a twist on it. So we brainstormed and came up with the concept of, let's find a student, find out what they're passionate about, whether they have like a solid plan for their life after graduation or not. Whatever that is, let's find somebody in the community who's doing that thing at a high level, and let's sit them down and have a conversation. What advice do you have for me? What would you tell your younger self? What was your path? And so we've gotten so many rich conversations out of this. I like to say that this is the time of year where we really do have some of the best jobs in the district. It just really brings us back to why we're here. I remember I met with Bryn, our student from Fort Collins High School. She was the first student that I connected with. And like I started like just getting emotional because she was just sharing her heart and who she was as a student. And it's so easy to forget. And once we start connecting with these students and start telling these stories, it changes us. Phil and I are softies. We cry at a lot of things. But we get to know these students really, really well too. And then we get to share their stories with our community. President Patterson and Vice President Draper, Superintendent Kingsley, thank you for letting us elevate this series in this very public forum. I also want to shout out, obviously, Madeline, Chief Information Officer. And you guys should know this is a full multimedia communications team effort. Phil and I we just do the video piece. There's a web piece. There's a whole like microsite, which I'll show here in a second. There's the district web presence. There's portraits of a whole separate set of students. There's graphic design, obviously. So literally everyone in the communications department touches this project. And so I just want to elevate all of their work as well. So we cut together something a little special just for you guys tonight. So this is just a quick little kind of teaser of what this series is about this year. Just because we can.
You all should know Phil is now an interior designer. He got to set up all of the set that's here. That's an idea should you want to do something.
Keep your passion, keep your drive. Don't let anything get in your way.
Just keep following your passion and taking advantage of all those opportunities like you have been, and you're going to do awesome.
Don't let anybody tell you that you can't do it. Make sure that you show them that you're here to be here, and don't let anybody tell you differently.
So like, comment, subscribe to our YouTube channel. And that's what everybody says, right?
Yeah.
let's see. So I did just want to show you guys. This is accessible from the school district website. This is the microsite that we have for the campaign this year. So this is our trailer that we released, and then this is a student from Fossil. This is his portrait, and we did a Q&A with him as well. And then here's our video student from Fossil Ridge High School, Fort Collins High School, and that's all we have out right now. But this week we have PSD Global Academy coming out, and then Poudre High School is going to be next week. And Phil, where are we going tomorrow? Where are we filming tomorrow?
So we have a student from Rocky Mountain High School, and his passion is that he wants to be an athletic trainer, and he plays baseball. And so we actually were able to get in contact with the communications department at Rockies Stadium, and they allowed us to come out there. And so we're going to film his interview on Rockies Field. So we're pretty excited about that experience.
Yeah.
So.
And you guys kind of get the concept, right? It's the same furniture, but the background changes, right? And so, anyway, we really appreciate the time, and yeah, we'd love your help in sharing this campaign and celebrating these amazing students too. So, thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Anything else, Brian?
I just couldn't be prouder of that effort. So thank you for allowing me to speak tonight.